Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our 10 to 1 session today with Ted Thornhill, who is the travel editor at the Mail Online. Hi,
Hello.
Ted. How are
Hello.
you?
Good, thank you very much.
Keeping cool in this heat wave or just unbearable?
Trying to. I do have a fan to the side. Hopefully it's not interfering with the sound.
No, not at all. Not at all. Ted, thanks so much for jumping on here today. So, as you know, the aim is just to give our PR audience a bit of insight into how to work with you, and yeah.
Sure thing.
So let's start with your role and the sections you look after and your data.
Yeah, so my role is Mail Online travel editor, which is it's one big section really. I'm based in London, but my scope is global. So we have offices in Sydney,
Right.
we have offices in New York as well. They do travel stories there, but they don't have travel desks. So my scope sitting here in London is global, and
Okay.
so quite
Could
often
be global travel list.
Yeah, well, that would be nice actually. I might raise that in my next review. Global travel editor, that's got a ring to it.
Yeah.
So quite often we strip geography out of our headlines to globalize them, because our stories have to appeal to the UK market and the American market and the Australian market, in fact the world market. So yeah, that's it.
So a big role. And is it just you on the team, or do you have...
It isn't, fortunately it isn't. I have a full-time staff reporter, Jen Newton, and I also have a regular freelancer as well.
Cool. And then as and when PRs pitch to you, if you can't do it, you then choose a freelancer to cover the story, or...
Yeah, what normally happens, I set all the stories live.
Great.
And I'll either write it myself or brief Jen to do it, or brief the freelancer to do it. But yeah, I get the last say, I get the sign off and sort of send it through, and yeah.
You are the boss.
Yeah. To an extent.
Ted, let's run through your week. Do you have when are your weekly meetings with the team, and what are your deadlines for going online?
Yeah, I get asked the deadline question frequently, and when I started my life as a journalist back in the late 90s on Men's Lifestyle mags, when there was a rhythm to the month. You'd have quiet weeks, slightly less quiet week, slightly busier week, crazy week. And then you could say to PRs, right, this is the rhythm, this is when it's quiet, this is when it's good to pitch to me. Mail Online, there is no quiet time. I cannot emphasize that enough. It is full on from 8 a.m. Our official hours are 8 a.m. till 5.
When was the last time you stopped working at 5?
I don't think I've ever stopped working at 5. It's maybe in 1 year, I could probably count, on one hand, the number of times I finished at 5. It's normally 6, 7, it can be 8. I've been up till 2:30 in the morning working on stories of my own volition. It just is all over the place. And so I often get asked, when's your deadline? And inevitably the answer is, kind of ASAP, please. like right now. And it's constant. Yeah.
Right.
But for pitching, there is a time in the day that's good. Yeah. And there is a time in the day that's bad. And probably the best time to actually send through an idea is around 8:30 to 9 in the morning, while we're kind of, drinking our coffee and figuring out what we're going to do with our day.
Yes.
That's a good time to send something through. I have been sent stuff at 4:55 p.m. on a Friday, and I'm like, what, really? 4:55 p.m. on a Friday? What? And sometimes it's a really good story, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to do that now. That's not such a great time.
Okay.
Unless it's an incredible story.
Perfect. So first thing in the morning is great. And that brings me on to, what is your relationship with Sarah Hartley, who's on the print desk? How do you work quite closely together, or separate?
We all have our own separate operations. Yeah. So the Daily Mail has their own travel desk, their own highly talented team. So does the Mail on Sunday. We all do our own thing. We don't flag to each other what we're doing.
Okay.
But we do upload everything that the papers do online.
Yes.
So my relationship with Sarah, sometimes I do, and the Daily Mail, sometimes I do pitch them ideas for me personally to write something for the paper. But generally it's kind of tweaking things that have gone online that maybe they want tweaked once it's up online. But no, we don't sort of coordinate anything.
Cool, that's good to know. And what stories perform best online? What stories do you really want to hear about?
Oh, we are so picture led.
Are you? Okay. So high res images within the pitch.
Oh, the stories that tend to do absolutely exceptionally normally have in some way incredible pictures or video attached to them.
Okay.
And the better organised a PR company can be with images, the more chance they've got of getting their story in.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could name a few. And we also, some of our consumer stories do exceptionally well as well. But I do keep tabs on, what the best performing stories are. And sometimes it can be things like we've had cabin reviews for airlines that have gone absolutely bonkers, over 1 million page views.
Oh my goodness.
And also bizarre architecture does really well. I think one of our best ever read travel stories was a bizarre sort of N or U-shaped skyscraper in New York, a blueprint for it, and that's had several million page views.
So the stories that you don't really think, just
that particular one came out of the blue. We found it on an architecture site and asked the architecture firm for the images, and it just went absolutely bonkers.
And just going back to pictures, do you like them within the pitch or Dropbox link or?
Yeah, I mean, I would say about 40 to 50% of my job is organising pictures.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the people that come from a print background where they're just dealing with words and they arrive at Mail Online, sometimes they're really shocked at how much organising of pictures there is to do. So I get quite frustrated with stuff sent on WeTransfer because inevitably the link will expire, and we're forever going back. Sometimes you're up against it, and then you realise the link's expired, and you've got to then track the PR down and get the picture sent over again. So Dropbox, I really like Dropbox because it just sits there forever. It doesn't get deleted, and also just nuts and bolts things like captioning your image names and things like that. Caption info always helps massively. As you could tell, I could go on forever about pictures.
Well, seeing as they perform well. Sorry, I just had a reminder. Are exclusives really important for you?
Always.
Great.
Always really, really important. And what I really like is when the exclusive is a really good idea.
Okay.
There are some PR companies attach the word exclusive to something that I might deem a bit run of the mill, and I'm like, oh, and then you kind of feel obliged to reply. But yes, love exclusives. Also, it's good to remember.
Yeah.
There's more than one way of cutting an exclusive. You might, exclusives by the hour can work as well, whereby we might have the story for 2 hours ahead of the competition, an hour ahead of the competition. Those are things to think about. So, you don't necessarily have to throw, although we would like it if this happened, but you don't have to throw all your eggs in the Mail Online basket. You might say, well, listen, we're going to give you a heads up about a story we're going to go wide with tomorrow. You can have it 24 hours ahead of everyone else. Those kind of arrangements work as well, or you just have the heads up to prep it before everyone else. That can work. Great.
And what do you need more of right now from PRs?
Oh, right now in Coronavirus, I need a bigger fan.
Literally, like, I hope it's not too noisy, but it's the only thing.
I need more Zoom wine tastings. I've done a few of those. They've been really lovely.
Are you not a bit zoomed out? This brings me on to another question.
Well, I don't do much Zooming actually. I tend just to be on email with my staff, or I phone them. But you know what I'd really love? The thing and this can go for not just Mail Online Travel. This is probably just journalism. What I'd love for PRs to do more of is just take a good look at the Daily Mail travel channel.
Yeah.
dailymail.co.uk/travel. Have a look through it, and you can just see at a glance what sort of stuff we're doing, and then have your meeting about what you could send us.
Yeah,
I'd love much more of that. There are some exceptionally good PR companies that do that. This is not across the board, but there are some where I still get press releases about new curtain designs and things like that, and then get chased down for it. I'm like, yeah, I'm the travel editor, I'm not the curtain editor.
Just not going to quite cut it. We just mentioned Zoom. Do you like meeting PRs? I mean,
I love meeting PRs. I just don't have enough time.
Sure.
What are the most useful things about meeting PRs? Obviously, is getting away from the desk is great when I'm in the office. Yeah. But also, it means their name I have a lot of emails, as you can imagine, just tons and tons and tons of emails every day. A lot of them saying, "Did you see my email?" And if I meet a PR, their name will then stick out in the inbox. I think, oh yes, I met so-and-so for a coffee.
Definitely.
Just that alone, for that reason alone, it's worth meeting PRs.
Helps build the relationship.
Yeah, and also it gives me a chance to ramble on like this about, using Dropbox and
which is all very important stuff.
It sounds like it's dreary and nerdy, and it isn't, because to our working day, I've had to sometimes, kill off a story for a couple of days because the WeTransfer link has expired, and I can't do the story now because we haven't got the images.
Yeah.
I know it's incumbent on me as well to download them to my hard drive, but sometimes in the thick of it,
definitely. Ted, that is our 10 minutes up.
Oh, is that 10 minutes?
Yeah,
it's flown by.
It's gone so quickly. So quickly. Thank you so much for all of your insight. Sure. I hope that everyone watching this has found this useful. Thanks a lot, Ted.
Hope so. Okay, no worries. Goodbye.